How's it going, you guys? I was on YouTube looking around trying to see if I could find a soft camper shell do-it-yourself, and it would seem no one's actually done that. I'd already just decided to do this before I found all the videos, so I was like, I might as well make a video for you guys. So my initial thought was to use 2x1 and drop into the existing holes and basically, just arch way up and over. But I already have some holes that are in pretty decent locations, so I'm going to clean these all up, and I'm actually going to go with some strap steel and just weld the tubing directly to it. It'll cover this whole area and then bolt through. My original idea was to use 1-inch round tubing and have it bent, but once I got the price on the bend, I was like, yeah, no. So, I'll show you what I did. Going to the super sweet fab shop. Oh, damn. Look at those guys' tools. What? Alright, so here's what I ended up doing. I had to find the angles to cut at, which was actually kind of a pain in the ass. Turned out to be 22 degrees on the bottom and 35 degrees at the top. It took a little bit of math, but I've held it up already and it matches the contour of the roof pretty good. I'm going to have to do something about these corners here. I think it's going to be a little sharp. I'm going with pretty thin sailcloth that I got off of Fabricating, I believe, .com. And it was about 85 bucks for 12 yards of it, which is kind of overkill, more than I need. But it's waterproof, UV resistant, and should be here in the next few days. So I'll record some more once I get it. Alright, so I've welded up the frame and decided to throw the strapping on and actually tack in place, then take off and do the finished welds off of the truck. So right now, just kind of working on the frame. One thing I noted that I didn't account for is a lot of these beds have a slight variation on the edge, which you need to account for, which means mine are going to be a hair off. I don't think it'll be noticeable to the naked eye, but bugs the hell out of me. Alright, so I got everything tacked up. Only problem is, boom, ran out of wire. Who will thunk it? But as you can see, everything looks fairly straight. It's only tacked in place. Originally, I was going to take them off and weld once I got it over in my shop / porch. Once I was up here, I was like, it might actually be easier to do the majority of these just in place. You can see my angles are off in a few places. I literally just used the chop saw to cut the round tubing, but it worked okay. I mean, I got a few gaps and a few places to fill. I did end up wanting to go with a bit of an angle on the rear bar. Problem is, I couldn't figure out a way to actually get the angle correct. So I kind of gave up, and I'm just going to do a lot of backfill, and hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt me as far as weld strength. But I'll update if it does. Alright, so I elected to do complete welds. So we went ahead and welded up everything on the truck. Since I'm inevitably repainting the truck anyway, it's no big deal. Kellen's here helping me out.
Hey, Donnie.
It seemed much easier to go ahead and to grind all the edges with it on the truck because you have a nice stable base. And honestly, I'm a little tiny pinhole there, but I'm pretty stoked with how the welds came out. Now we're removing it, and we're going to go ahead and finish the feet. which the grinder doesn't actually fit into the inside seam of everything we're doing. We're trying to clean up all the welds. So, into just a grinder blade. And trying to do it inside out. I'm not super worried, honestly, about how it looks because it's all going to be hidden behind canvas the majority of the time, and it's only going to be used when I'm camping. But I'm trying to get it as clean as I possibly can before we paint it. And, you know, it's working okay. It's ugly, but it'll work. Alright, so just finished up cleaning up all the welds on these guys. And me and Kellen are about to wipe everything down with isopropyl alcohol. You could also use gasoline. Basically any kind of degreaser just to get the oils that they coat these steel with. Alright, so we just laid on the first coat. I'm going with a high gloss black. I'm going to do one light coat followed by one heavy coat followed by a finish coat if needed. And I want to do this as soon as possible just so that we didn't get any rust. We've had a bit of rain lately even though it's the middle of summer. But yeah. Alright, how's it going, you guys? So I got the bars up. I ended up having way more flex than I wanted to in the bars. So I just tapped in a 1/4 20. Just to add a little bit more stability. The 5/16 was plenty, I think, as far as strength goes, but I'm still waiting for the sailcloth to get here, and I'm not sure how sturdy it is actually going to be. If it's a little thin, I don't want these things vibrating in the wind as I'm driving down the road, just cutting their way through. On top of the bars, I went ahead and bent up some aluminum here to match the angle of mine. Since my cuts were 22 degrees, my bend was 122, and it worked out just about dead on. It could have been a little bit steeper, but I'm kind of glad it's out a little bit. I ended up doing it in 2 pieces just for easier storage once I take it off, because this will only be on typically when I'm going on a camping trip, or you know, just want to have something to lay under when we go to lake or whatever. I went with 832s, just tapped directly into the bed. I'm not sure if that is going to be okay. If you don't have access to a bender, I'm sure it's pretty cheap just to have a shop do it for you. Or probably just go ahead and buy, shit, it's eluding me, angle here. Anyway, I'm gonna use this I'm a little on the edge, either Velcro or snaps. I'm definitely leaning towards snaps right now just because they seem like they'll be a lot more secure. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and put 1/2" insulation around all these guys just so I don't bang my head when I'm getting in and out. Plus, I think it's going to add a little bit of padding for the sailcloth, so I won't have to worry about it rubbing quite as much. Alright, I'll let you guys know on the next step. Alright, so my canvas came in, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty dense. It's pretty thin, so it is sewable. I actually ended up going to Goodwill getting this guy. And it's actually worked pretty good once I had it tuned in for how thick the fabric is. I'm using double-sided Scotch tape that's permanent, so it's pretty thick. I'm using that to set the seams instead of pins just because I'm lazy and I have really long runs. As you can see, it's kind of a clusterfuck right now. Once I can throw it on the truck, I will update you guys. How's it going, you guys? Quick update for you. I went ahead and I decided to throw some just insulation padding on these. As I was getting in and out and in and out, I kept smacking my head and it was starting to bug the shit out of me. I just used a 1/2-inch insulation, and when I did the measurements for the canvas top, I went ahead and included those in the measurements. One other thing I should note is I found online that when you're working with the canvas like I'm working with, you should use a hot knife. I didn't feel like going out and buying one. It's been 50 bucks. So I went ahead and just cut with scissors, and then I took a soldering iron and just burnt off the edges real smooth. It worked perfectly. There's no fraying whatsoever. So, you know, if you guys don't have a hot knife, I just go ahead and suggest you just do that. Alright, so I got the zippers in the mail. Everything's lining up pretty good. It looks kind of shitty right now, but once you actually stretch it out, it looks just about how it should. If I can show it. I used this seam. You basically lay it over, sew it face to face, and then fold one side over, and then sew through the leftovers. This is supposed to be an almost waterproof seam. I also got these 1/2-inch heavy duty zippers online. They weren't that bad. They're about $5 a piece. You have to make sure you have open-ended, and then at the rear I went with I'll show you. Went with double-sided zippers. That way, you know, I can open it up from inside. I kicked around doing it to the sides too, but these bad boys are about $10 a piece, and I didn't feel like spending that much just for an extra zipper. Next step is I'm going to fold these guys over and get the snaps in there. Just probably stretch it, find my line. I want a little bit of overhang so you can't really see the aluminum. I mean, even though it's going to be painted black, plus I don't want any water getting in a freeway if I can take it on the freeway. I'm going to have to test and see how that works out. But I want to just, you know, show you guys what it's looking like so far. I'll show you after I got the snaps on.